recorded live from Hollywood, California. With me is Angel City FC co-owner Saskia Webber, who's got a big announcement on Thursday. They're going to be announcing where they're going to be playing their home matches, which is going to be pretty darn exciting. I know we're all really excited about that. Saskia, is that open to the public? Is that
it's actually a donation. So we're doing a food drive and stuff. So it's a drive-through food drive. So yes, but we're not announcing where it is yet. So you're just going to be driving around LA. Where's it going to be? No, we'll announce it. Super excited. It's going to be our home base, home field, and excited for. I almost said something I can't say, but yeah. So excited.
It's gonna be a good time, and I know Omar Zeenni, you know him as Pro GK Academy, is very excited about that with his lovely czar of the virtual background, like he is FC Groningen background. And the reason that he's got that is because of our lovely guest today. We've got goalkeeper coach for FC Groningen. Did I say it right, Sascha?
Groningen, yeah.
Groningen. All right.
Sounds good.
He works
FC Groningen goalkeeper coach Sascha Marth. What's up, man? Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Of course, man. Of course. I'm excited that you're willing to stay up late for this. Now, for some of the people out there in the United States who might not be familiar a little bit, with FC Groningen, and the level of the Eredivisie, why don't you kind of give us a little bit of a lay of the land?
Yeah, we're in the Netherlands, like you talked. I think, in my opinion, after the big five in Europe, so which is England, Germany, France, Italy, some of them, Spain, of course. It's one of the biggest, well-known leagues, I think. So we are playing against Ajax Amsterdam, against Feyenoord Rotterdam, and about good teams who are facing European level every week. So I think it's a quite interesting league to play.
I grew up as my first team that I was in love with was Ajax. Absolutely. The white shirts with the red stripes down, Stanley Manzo, everything that was my end all be all when I went over to Holland to train with Frans Hoek, and he was with Ajax at that time, and that's how old I am. And I love football in the Netherlands. Forget it. And I'm going to say this, I'll say it out loud. It's the best football country, never to win a World Cup. Period. And I was there when they won the European Championship. I left right before they won the European Championship. What is that? Let's not age me. So yeah. I mean, come on. It's Holland, man.
Yeah. No, Omar, you got to start posting more Eredivisie. Is it Diviz or Divisi? How I never know how to pronounce it right. Divisi, Eredivisie? Divisier? Eredivisie. Okay. Eredivisie.
Hopefully. There's a lot of people I need to make happy. I think that's one league that I haven't posted enough of.
Don't get Dutch people mad at you.
You said Angel City. I gotta start posting NWSL.
My mom will start chatting in. Don't get my crazy hooligan Dutch mother mad at you.
Oh my god. Now, Sascha, did you know much about the league before you headed over there? Because obviously you started out at RB Salzburg, which is a fantastic developmental program. I mean, it seems like they produce, not only do they produce goalkeepers and field players, but they produce goalkeeper coaches. It seems like every goalkeeper coach at some point started out in Austria.
Yeah, it seems to be. We had a very good group down there with Hans Leitert brought us everybody in who was the head of goalkeeping, and now they are spreading all over the world and taking clubs and train them. But the Netherlands, yes, I had it on my radar, of course, because it's such a big league and it's such an honor to be here. But it was not really that what I followed my life. It was more, of course, if you're Austrian, you follow Germany, and then a bit of the Eredivisie. But it's fantastic to be here. It was also fantastic to start my journey with 22 in one of the best academies in Salzburg. So it was a good way.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's amazing whenever we have all of you guys on. I mean, like, we talk about it here consistently on the show, is that, I think one of the biggest problems that we have here in the United States is that we don't open our eyes to the world a lot of the times, and we don't look to learn from others around the world. And we're going to talk a little bit later about how, you've traveled the world and tried to learn from different goalkeeper coaches in different countries. And Omar, I know that's something that you've kind of been trying to strive for, is, try to not have this myopic view of your goalkeeper coaching in the last couple of years. You've really tried to expand your range.
Yeah, I think that's evolution. I think that's where a lot of good ideas come from. I mean, we had Thomas Fowdry, who's English, training in Australia. We had him on, and he posted a lot of his stuff on YouTube and how he kind of runs his sessions. And if I was super closed-minded, I would be like, I think if I was younger, I probably still would have been closed-minded. But more, people set me in the right path now. But watch some of his sessions, and I just started realizing, man, there's so much good content, there's so much good information out there, and limiting it to just the people that you see on a daily basis, it can get tough sometimes, because you want to try and open your mind up to different possibilities and different ways of drawing up sessions. So I would agree, yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the really cool things. I mean, Saskia had one of the coolest experiences. I don't know if you know this, Sasha, but Saskia, back when she was younger, she went to go train with Frans Hoek in the Netherlands, and at the time, I mean, no one was doing that here, Susk, right? No one was traveling.
No,
overseas.
not at all. I mean, my next thing I know, my mom talk about summer camp. My mom and then were like, "Here's a ticket, get the hell out of here." like they kicked me out of the country. But yeah, I have a history. My uncle Martin, he played pro and semi-pro and stuff, and so he was the one that was like, send Saskia out here and everything. And this was right when I was turning 16, and literally probably the summer before I was on the national team for the first time. So it was just an amazing experience. And at that time, there wasn't anything like that here in the US. There was no, oh, by the way, well wishes to Dan Gaspar. I know he's sick and in the hospital, so I want to shout that out, because I was just about to say he didn't have his academy yet. Tony didn't have his stuff yet and stuff. So there was nothing here like that. And to go over to Holland and train in such a like elite level situation was incredible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was awesome, and it was great for you to be able to, go over there and learn, those quick reflexes, get that reaction time. Oh, is this pictures?
That's my grandpa right there. That's my grandpa playing pro in Holland.
Wow.
Yeah, no joke. I got it in my blood, man.
I was trying to go into one of my clever segues right over there, but I'm just gonna go right into it. Today's topic, guys, is going to be reaction time and learning how to navigate a new goalkeeping culture as well too. Sasha, one of the things that I really was impressed by when I was watching some of your presentations is you did such a great job of showcasing how goalkeepers can work on their reaction time in realistic environments. So kind of in your own words, for maybe some people like parents who might not be familiar with what we mean, what do we mean by reaction time?
Yes, sometimes I think, it will be, it's reaction time or reflexes. So there are this kind of things. I think when it comes to goalkeeping, it's all about reaction and not reflexes, because it's something that is not subconscious, it's conscious. So the really thing to react on things is reaction time. But what I think is the discussion really right to increase the reaction time, or is it not maybe better to train our goalkeepers to make fast decisions and right decisions? So the fastest and the right and fast decisions in a way. So then reaction comes. That's my opinion somehow. If you can decide very fast and the decisions are right in the same time, then it equals somehow in a good reaction time. And so I think that is the most important thing that we can give our goalkeepers in an environment.
I mean, go ahead, Saskia.
No, I think you see, like, we have to add that in. We have to train. It's not just cut and dry. We talk about that all the time. So, a lot of times in my sessions, like, we throw in that person that like misdirects something. So like you're lining up for a shot, you think it's clear, and then it gets, it gets redirected really quick. And that's your reaction time. That's like you're going here, and then all of a sudden, even if it's a foot or even if it's whatever, like you have to be able to control your body as a goalkeeper to change what you were doing to make that quick save. And that has to be trained. It's a trigger. It's a quick trigger mechanism that your body has to be trained. So you can't just expect it, like coaches out there and stuff like that. Oh, I'm going to do shots on goalkeepers, stuff like that. You have to set up drills where it's a quick change of direction. So you thought you were going here and now you have to go here. Juan has this crazy apparatus I've never seen before, but it's this like thing you put on the ground, and I don't know. It's got at UCLA, it's got like divots in it and everything. And basically you shoot the ball at it and it goes wherever it goes. And, you know, so it's something that has to be trained into goalkeepers. You have to get that quick twitch muscle going, your mind going.
But Sascha, I love what you said. Go ahead. You were about to say something.
Yeah. I just wanted to add that there are, of course, a lot of fields, like it's simple reaction, it's a choice reaction, is it the perception that interferes? But I think it equals out in this decision-making process in somehow.
Yeah. Omar, I was going to ask you right here, because I love, Sascha, what you were saying in regards to the fact that it's about the decision-making as opposed to the reflexes. And that's been one of the problems, Omar, I know when you were a younger coach, you know, that you would be training reflexes, as opposed to the decision-making of when you utilize these techniques. You know, so now you started going the opposite direction.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think a lot of times it's a good balance between isolation training and then actual like using what you're teaching and then showing them how it's going to be in a game. And I found when I was a younger coach, a lot of the young kids that I was training, they got very complacent with the idea that like everything that I was giving them is exactly how it's going to happen in the game. And again, I was very immature at that time, so I didn't really understand how to train game realistic stuff so that, you know, a reaction save that they do in isolation can actually be translated to the actual game. So I started seeing kids who would mention to me, hey, coach, well, that's not exactly how we drew it up in practice. So why are you asking me to make that save? How is that my fault? Your service, should have been better. I had 2 or 3 of those kids. Yeah, two or three of those kids say that to me.
Seriously?
Your service
it goes both ways. You know, I used to always tell the kids, you know, if I hit a volley or something like that and I mishit it, I look at them and be like, I need you to move. I need you to shuffle your feet. And then I had some smart aleck kids who would say, coach, that service was terrible. Or, you know, try and get me back and try and get even with me. So that's when it came down to it. And I think, again, that meant those words to me, I was like, okay, why would somebody tell me that if my service is not exactly how I drew it up? Okay, then that makes sense then. I should probably start doing more game realistic stuff so everything is varied, like how it is in a game, versus always just training in isolation. So I made that adjustment quick of understanding how to translate, whether it's, shots behind bodies or obstructed views or whatever it is. Thomas Bowdry has some good sessions on that where one of the goalkeepers that's working, he's standing right in front of the goalkeeper about in the 6-yard box. Ball gets played from, let's say, the 6 out to the penalty spot. So you're pushing everybody up. So it is a realistic idea, but you're also training reactions. So now you're causing, movement in front of the goalkeeper, but it's not like you're just putting somebody there for no reason. It's actually what you will see when the ball gets cleared up. Everyone steps half the distance. Now you're having to see around bodies. So stuff like that is super important.
And have to see through legs. And I do that. And that's why, me and my big blow up dummies, I hate them and stuff like that. I mean, I do, because if I can stick a body in there that's moving, that's active, I'd rather do that. And so if I'm if I'm working on pushing people up and shoot, like you said, and shooting, like, I don't want a big blow up dummy there. I want somebody that's moving that maybe will just flick the ball a little bit, change its direction or something.
You don't have dummies that can do that?
100%. Like, no, I'm sure maybe we should make one. I'm sure. But I agree with Sascha. At the same time, it is positioning. It is setting yourself up in the right place that if that happens, if there's a little change of direction, you're in the right position. You're watching the ball, not the player, and you can make that save. You can make that change and reaction save. It's not just like firing. Like, everything has to be on point in order to be able to do that.
Yeah. Sascha, did you say you have some clips you wanted to show us, right? Of how you can progress one of these sessions so that it kind of becomes game realistic.
Yeah, what I tried to set up is just from Kazakhstan, that you have a bit of an impression how it was in Kazakhstan, for example. Do you see my screen now?
No, just seeing.
Yeah.
We're just
Yeah,
seeing
we
the. But we don't.
Oh.
I don't see the video. I just see the.
No, I don't see the video. I see the.
Try again.
Yeah, I think yeah.
And while we're doing that, and Omar, on
There
your
we go.
thing, like everything I'm doing right now is trying to translate training game realistic.
Yeah.
Right now, I had a great session today.
I have a session soon, so I'll let you know how that goes.
Today.
So that would
I had a
be
great one today. Go ahead.
that would be an impression from Kazakhstan, that you have a look how nice the pitches was and how nice it was there. Here, what we see is more that what we said, it's the isolated stuff, because here you have more a peripheral perception and more a reaction or more an inhibition on go or no go situations. So you would have white and orange balls, and at the same moment you just react on colors, and if it's a red one, don't go. So like in a cross, for example, you don't have to go. So for that decision, or attack the white ball if it's plain. So for example, like he will do now. Yeah, like that. So that would be a very simple go or no go situation, and set up from the very beginning.
I think, Sasha, can I add something to that?
Yeah, of course.
I think even that I'm learning now with the young kids that I've been training. I do like red cone, blue cone. I don't have that much equipment, so I just do like red dots or blue dots. And sometimes we'll do volleys, and it'll be like, to get to the next movement in the session, it'll be quick shifting, right? So quick shifting off the post, and then from there, making sure you're balanced. Because if you're obviously not balanced, you're not going to be able to see the ball through traffic. You're going to be leaning, you're going to be falling. So that's one of the dimensions in that. But when it comes to calling a color out, I see even with this as well, even with crosses, like you mentioned, cutbacks or regular service, a lot of times kids act right off the instinct versus letting hearing it or seeing the ball being served in, letting it process for that half second, like Mike, we talk about delay or pause for a second, really assess. And then from there, then you decide to go. And I still get kids where I'm like doing, volley, I hit a volley to them, and then I call a color, they have to shift. They start moving. Let's say I called red. They think in their head, he's going to call blue. So I say red again, and they're wasting a movement going one way and then going back this way. So I think it's very important, like you just mentioned in that exercise there, about really training the mind to not even just see colors, but it's more let it process, and then we can decide. And that's the reaction, I guess, if you really break it down to
That's also where I don't like to call the colors, to show them. It's more game realistic, I think, because you never call something, the ball is flying out. Yeah. And what I was really happy to have in when I worked in Red Bull was we worked with a psychologist, and she said to us one really great thing, and that was the phenomenon of inhibition. So stuff to do is easier for the brain than not to do. So they showed us a picture where it was compared with the brain activities, that if you do something, just do it. It's easier for the brain than to not do it. And a very easy way to show that is if you do like that in front of somebody, he will blink. And if you tell him not to do that and to do it again, it's very hard for them. So that's this phenomena. Maybe that's what you mentioned also with
exactly.
I go now and not. And that's why we do it a lot.
Yeah, when I was training with national team and Tony and stuff like that, I mean, and before that was it's that leave late, arrive early kind of scenario in your head where it was process. Like you have to take that split second to process. And like you said, Omar, like kids are going right when they were supposed to go left because they're assuming. And I was, from a young age, I was totally not trained that way. Like I was trained to, no, take a split second. You have to process this. Like, let's say crosses or something. That's where you find kids always stepping forward or going the way they think it's going to go and it goes over their head or something like that. You have to take that split second, process, judge, and then react, but react with strength and pace to make up for the split second that you lost.
Yeah, I'm going
to
say one more thing. Before I say my point though, Saskia, I'm going to say, I think there should be a limit to how many times you say when I was training with the national team. just so that we're all on the same page. You know, I don't want to be, I just don't want to be overshadowed that much. All right. So maybe like 2 of those per episode. Okay. Just want to throw that out there. Okay.
Oh, somebody's a little sassy today. All right, Omar.
I
All
know.
right. Microphone drop. Bring it.
No, but I think
I love how you didn't tell Sascha, you're like, you know, you can only mention one time that you worked at Red Bull, and then that's it. You know?
no, you can only say Kazakhstan one time on the episode. All right, we've already reached that quota. But no, I think to Saskia's point, I think again, it's we talk about realistic environments and like how often we need to put those kids in those positions where they're making those instinctual decisions and letting them fail on those instincts. The last thing, or the one thing that I used to do, and the last thing I'll do now, is try and judge someone and say, look, your instincts are off. I want you to stop working off your instincts. Rather, can we see those instincts? They're making the mistakes with them. That's their innate decision. How can we fix that and fine tune it versus trying to craft the goalkeepers in the way that you want them to be? Does that make sense? So instead of judging them off of like, it has to be done perfect, you keep messing up, do it this way. It's more like, look, you're making this decision. Let's find out why. And then from there, we can really start progressing with your innate ability. If that makes sense to anybody, I think that's kind of what I'm trying to go for.
I think that's very interesting what you said now. It's that you're not searching for the perfect things, because I believe in that the times are over, that we have a textbook where the perfect technique is, and we as goalkeeper coaches, we are not the big teachers and you have to do that, you have to do that, you have to do that. We are setting borders, and sometimes the border is that far, and sometimes it's narrowing. But the goalkeepers has to find his own solution, his own technique, his individual solution for every situation.
Exactly.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. When I was training with my high school coach, no, I'm just kidding. No, I agree 100%. And I think that we have to put that into the goalkeeper's hands. Like some scenarios today at practice, it's like, you know, like Idalia is totally different on how she handles things than Lauren per se at UCLA. But, you know, they have to find their way and their zone. And I'm not the one to say, you did this wrong, you did this right. It's a gray area. And we bring that up all the time. You know, it's different for each goalkeeper.
You know, it's funny that you brought up the whole thing about there's no textbook way anymore, because honestly, Sascha, I found this clip of your goalkeeper from recently, and I wanted to share it with everybody here, because this is not textbook at all, but the reactions were absolutely phenomenal. So here, as we can see where that ball's played in, so it's cut across from the line, then this ball comes in. That is not textbook in any way whatsoever. Yet that was the right decision based on his length. I mean, the guy's huge. He's like, what, 9 feet tall? So, I'm sorry, 2 meters.
He's like 2.5
meters. But as that ball comes in to Sergio right here. So, I mean, you can break this down for us, Sascha, because you were there. So, you know.
Yeah, it's really funny, and I don't say now that I'm a great goalkeeper coach or something like that, but it's really funny because we had the same situation and the same save in the training week before. So
no way.
It's really funny that happened. So you never can do that, but I could search now for the video from that save, and we had this cutback pass, we had this one touch in. And the same leg save. So that is a moment for a goalkeeper coach when you say that happens out of a million. That you trained them before, and then it comes. It was like a very how do you say it? A very moment to remember for me, that save. Because it fits.
I love when that happens I love when that happens, like when it happens in practice and somebody will turn to me, something like that, and I'll be like, oh yeah, we train that all the time. I'm like, it's just it was instinctual in a goalkeeper. Yeah, and you're just like, and they're like, that was awesome. I'm like, yeah, we train that all the time. Like sarcastically. Like, I don't know what she just did, but she kept it out of the net, man. Like,
yeah. But we totally have to say that it was brilliant out of his experience. So, but it was nice because it fits so good into it, and you could stand here and say, "Hey, I did that with him." So yeah,
exactly.
Totally not.
but you know what, part of it is like instinctual, and if you're ingraining that, if their body position is correct, if their weight is correct, if everything, then stuff like that's going to happen, and it's instinctual, and that's like, you know, a trigger, and that's reaction, and part of that you can go back, you know, obviously that wasn't trained specifically, but you can go back and say, but all the training like leads into this.
And what I want to throw in the question, because that's sticks very good to that situation, is that we as goalkeeper coach maybe has to think sometimes also, and it fits also good for the topic before, just not to do something. So it is, I think we overload sometimes the keepers with actions. And if you see here, he has to move from one side to the other, stand still and wait for the ball. So if you do an unexpected movement or go to the side or are out of balance, then you cannot save that ball in that situation. So I will maybe to throw in the question, is it sometimes not better to wait and not to do something than to go over hurdles, run from one side to the other, stuff like that?
Yeah, well, I think you were just hearing some of Omar's stories when he was training in some various countries in his pro trials, where they made him catch the ball and then throw the ball back at the coach while the ball was being shot to the other corner and the putt for a top hand save, like things that that don't happen.
No.
Well, but I understand what you're saying, and sometimes, like, I think a lot of goalkeeper coaches and a lot of coaches get caught up in the motion of everything, like going over hurdles, doing this, move. And you got to slow it down sometimes, because that's not how the game works. Like, you're not jumping over hurdles. You're not running all over the place. You're not doing this. And like for myself, like in practice, I'll go back to my session today, but like, I'm I've said this before, guys, this isn't fitness. Slow it down. We're doing game realistic stuff. Like, go with the movement of the ball, set, take your time, like do what you would do try to do what you're doing in a game. Like, I can set up cones. I can make you run through them. I can make you go under a rope and dive through a hoop and stuff like that. I can't get over that video, by the way. And dive through a hoop, but like, let's game realistic is no, he has to go, set, stand, and wait for the shot. That's real.
Now, speaking of that, Sascha, so can you show us the progression now? How do you make this reaction training realistic now in a game scenario? So like, kind of like, how did we get to the picture that we just saw of the game against Utrecht?
The second would be more, I don't know if it's progression. It's just a bit of a funny session maybe. So okay. There is a history behind it a bit. We didn't have a second racket. I wanted to play for hand-eye coordination with them, a bit of tennis, but we didn't have a second racket. So what we set it up is, for the one it is tennis, and for the other one he has a goal line where he has to stand, and if the ball crosses, then it's a goal, and if not, then the play continues like in tennis. So you have on one side one hand-eye coordination.
This is so cool. I want to do this.
And on the other side, you have a goalkeeper in the goal. So that's what we set it up, and it's maybe simple reaction, hand-eye coordination. Yeah, and it was funny. So we had to play that every week after that. So
that's fun.
They really liked that.
I was just going to say, Omar, you got a session today right after this podcast.
You guys trained with you guys trained with tennis balls though, haven't you?
I've trained with tennis balls before, yeah, but not that game. That game looks amazing.
I know. I got
not on those fields.
I got to get a racket. I got to go in the garage and pull my racket out.
Well, we use tennis balls a lot of times, so it's really nice.
Is tennis balls really the number one that you use in regards to a smaller ball? Because I know we talked to, like, for instance, we talked to Brenton Saylor from Houston Dash a few weeks ago, Saskia and I, and he was talking about using, a volleyball because it's a lighter ball. So anything you can do to change the speed and the weight that the ball comes in, so that the goalkeepers don't start just reacting based on, predictability. They know how fast the ball comes in. They know how heavy the ball is, but no, they actually have to make a decision based on what's really happening right there.
I like tennis balls just because it makes you focus more with eye-hand coordination. because it's smaller. That's why I like using tennis balls over like a volleyball or something. I want you to focus more on that eye-hand coordination.
Yeah. Omar's getting his tennis balls right now as we speak.
No, I have to leave pretty soon, guys. I have a session at 3:30, so I have to leave pretty soon. But no, I've done tennis balls before. But again, it's we talk about all the time. Context is so important, and a lot of coaches or even young players will use tennis balls and have no idea why they're using them, or they're just. And I think that's again, it's super important to understand what it's working on, and then from there you can draw up drills. Because even there, for example, you're watching that, you can at least even say the lateral movement for the guy with the tennis racket who has to position himself in a way where if they have that, fully stretched, they have to land on their side. They can't land on their elbow. Very goalkeeper related, you know what I mean? But like little things like that are super important to understand before you go into exercises like that.
Yeah.
So Sascha, was there only one tennis racket in all of Kazakhstan? Is that what happened? I'm sorry. I had to go there. I've seen the Borat movies. I had to go there. I'm sorry.
No, we have to say the preparation of the goalkeeper coach was bad because he didn't ask if we have 2 or 1. So estimated that we have 2. But we was quite flexible and quick change the game.
But we have to be sometimes, because the thing is that a lot of times I'll show up at a field and they'll promise me mannequins and there's no mannequins, or they promise me, another goal and there's no other goal, or there's not enough cones or whatever. So we have to, as goalkeeper coaches, and I think a lot of young goalkeeper coaches out there who are listening or watching need to know that. Yeah. Look at that. Even at the professional level, you need to be able to improvise on the spot. It doesn't mean that you don't plan out your session. There's a difference between improvisation and just being lazy and not planning, right, Sascha?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But Mike, sometimes, I think even go ahead, Sascha.
Joe just said sometimes unexpected things happen. You can go and have 5 dummies outside, and somebody put the needle in it, and suddenly it's everything can happen.
My favorite part of the show is watching Omar pack. This is
so
great.
I'm just tying my shoes. Sorry. But no, I want to.
I'm like, you have nice hair, Omar.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We're cool.
I just see the top of your head right now.
We're cool. Yeah, we're good. Just want to make sure you and I are cool. But no,
we're good. Oh, you think I'm mad at you? So when you go, I'm going to talk crap about you. I'm like, no, you got me good today. It's all right. I have a couple days to figure out what I'm going to say.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what you cook up. But no, I think again, one of the things I talk about with I talked about Chris Sharp from the Colorado Rapids is that when he was 15 years old, he was trying to play tennis, and he was very, very close to going pro as a tennis player, but then chose goalkeeping. And I was telling him, he calls it the crow hop. If you think about a crow just hopping, is like prior to any serve. I think I was watching the Wimbledon final 2 years ago. It was Nadal versus Djokovic, I think, or Federer versus Djokovic. And every single time the guy was about to serve, there was that pause and kind of like that really like tense moment. And then as that ball served, you have to react in a quick moment. And I think exactly how it is for that cutback situation. There's like that little pause where that ball is traveling and you have to get yourself into a position. And once you're in position, you're just kind of waiting for that connection with the ball, and then from there making a reaction save. So I think when we talk about like tennis, we talk about any sport like that, it's understanding what triggers do those athletes see. And then once you can kind of see what those athletes see, can we try to maybe do some cross-sport training where the goalkeepers aren't always hitting the ground, aren't injuring their shoulders or their hips or like that. Give those guys a break, but also translate what we see in other sports, and then try to have those same things, whether it's the crow hop for serve on a tennis serve, or wide receiver catching the ball, making sure their hand-eye coordination is there, whatever it is, but making sure that we can draw comparisons from that, and then have that translate back to when they step back in goal.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that I love what you just said there, Omar, and Sascha, I want to talk to you about this because obviously team handball is very popular, over in Europe, and it's not popular here, which is disappointing because it looks like a really fun game. By the way, someone told me recently there's a height you have to be at least 6'5", and I was like, that's not fair. That's not fair to say that to me. Why are they messing with me, or are they being honest? But a lot of goalkeepers were team handball players, over in Europe, and it seems like a lot of the reaction time, like we're seeing that save that Sergio made right there, it's very much of a team handball type scenario, right, Sascha? Yeah,
it seems to. I don't know if Sergio played handball. I don't think so, but it's very popular, I think, and also a lot of goalkeepers go to handball training and do that for the reaction, for the quick saves. And there are some really nice drills as well from handball that you can implement. But what the main difference is, I think the technique and the mobility of the goalkeepers in handball is totally different to that.
Yeah, that is a good point, because they're a little bit more static. Well, Omar, I know you need to go and go have a lovely session. We're rooting for you out there on that bumpy pitch. Try to get a tennis racket to make it realistic. But Sascha, one thing that we want to kind of talk to you about is, because this is a really cool experience. I mean, obviously, you've coached at very high level professional clubs, that play Europa League, Champions League, all those sorts of things. And you decided to make this decision to go to Kazakhstan, which I don't even know what the Kazakhstani league is called. What's it called?
Premier League, like in England.
Premier League. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same. I'm sure they have a Man City, they have an Arsenal. It's all the same. It's all Chelsea. But we kind of want to talk to you about that, because that's really a fascinating thing. And we've been recently talking to a lot of coaches who've made the decisions to go to different cultures and navigate them and kind of learn from the experience what works, what doesn't work, what they can take from somewhere else. So first off, let us know how did this even happen?
Yeah, it was a fast decision. Let's say that. So in my head, it was not a fast decision. It was going round and round. I was sitting with my dad in Southampton because we watched the game at Christmas, and so it was between Christmas and New Year's Eve. And then the offer came because some coaches that I know from RB Leipzig went down there to be a head coach there, and he asked me if I want to come. And for me the question was, okay, I'm now goalkeeping coordinator but coaching under 15s. Do I have the opportunity with 26 to coach professionals? And there I had the opportunity to coach professionals. So I was like 2 days, I go, I don't go, I go, I don't go. But then I thought, okay, let's do that. And it was really funny because one day I went out of the academy, went straight into the plane, and 12 hours later, I was in a total different. So I went to sleep because it was an overnight flight. And the other day was a total different country, and I was coaching professionals. So from one day from under 15s to the next day coaching professionals.
That's awesome.
So I was also coming at 7 o'clock in the morning on the airport, and at 10 I had my first session. So all the night flight and then up to the session. It was really challenging. It was really cool, but it was total life-changing. So it was from one day you are in a settled, good job, and on the next day you sit in the plane and you totally don't know what will happen on the next day. You don't even know if somebody picks you up at the airport or not. So fortunately they did.
But that's exciting.
Yeah. I mean, it's extremely exciting. And, and one of the things that I think that's really fascinating about that, and Saskia, I know, this is something that a lot of people, when they go into coaching, they feel like, okay, I'm out of my element when I go to a new type of a level. Like, I mean, I'll even use an example. Like, I remember when I went from coaching youth club to starting coach college players, like that to me was a change, because I had been working with 10, 11-year-olds, and now I'm working with 19, 20-year-olds, and it was a very different experience. So for you, Sascha, not only was it an older age group, but it was a different language, a different culture. Was that difficult to kind of establish? And what advice do you give kind of goalkeeper coaches who go into that experience?
Yeah, I think it was, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, I was going to agree, because you had said, I mean, even when I went, got brought in to UCLA, like that was the first time I'd coached at it's number one team. Sorry, everybody, it's number one team in the United States. So, that it was an adjustment for me. And whether you question yourself or not, like, I think you just have to stay true to the fact that you do know what you're doing, and you are the professional, and, So, but yes, those transitions they're a little daunting sometimes.
Yeah. Now, Sascha, go on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's all good.
No, I think everybody should do that. So if I look back now, is before you reach a certain age, you should totally do a total different culture because it gives you so much personally. But to take me back to that journey, you come to the country and they don't even write the letters like we did. So because they have this Russian letters. So that was the first like, okay, now I have to learn how to read and write. And I have to coach professionals. Okay, how do you do that?
This is like a movie, Sascha. This is like
no, but it's true. But even speaking another language, like giving directions as a goalkeeper on the field. Like when I played for Japan, it was like I have to now learn how to talk to my defense in Japanese. Like so I can't imagine coaching.
Yeah. Also, of course we had all the opportunities down there. We had a translator. We had the best thing and the smartest thing that I did now looking back is taking from the first day language classes in Russian. Yeah. So that was one of the smartest, and maybe that what I can tell now. If somebody is doing that, please learn as fast as possible the language, because then you get accepted. And especially with goalkeepers, you have this small group that is built up with relationship. And if you don't speak the language and there is a translator who did his work great, but he cannot transfer that relationship that you can if you learn the language. And it was really great to see how we grew together after I spoke the language a bit. Not that I was a professional in the language, but after that I could express myself and could say, okay, left, right, the last exercise or like that. And then it grew more and more together. And I think goalkeeper coaches, and that's the best, or that's the nicest thing as being a goalkeeper coach, is this relationships between in this small group. And it was so important to learn the language, and so important to come also not just learn the language, also to come into that culture and take part of the culture, not just being there and say, okay, I'm now a specialist from Europe, but I also to see their point of view, because I learned this just because for us in Europe, it's logical. It's not logical on the other part of the world.
Right.
So, and I think the biggest mistake that you can do is to go there and say, okay, that's my way and you have to adapt. Right. No, you are there, and you are coming from outside. You have to adapt on that, what they are believing. Sometimes you can argue about some things, but I think the first step is to go into that culture and be into that culture, and then you get accepted, and then you have a very good standing, and then you can go on with coaching.
I totally agree with you. I had Japanese classes as soon as I landed. I had a player that I played with my second year, and she wanted nothing to do with the culture. She wasn't from the US, but she basically just wanted to live her life the way it was and wanted nothing to do with the culture, ingrain herself in the culture, wanted to clock in and clock out. And it just, the disconnect between that mentality and the rest of the team was apparent. And, you can't do that. When you go overseas and you go to a different culture, you do have to learn the language. You have to communicate, because you can have a translator, which we did, but that's not the proper communicate. It's not coming across usually the way you want to say it. And you have to be able, in the run of play, to be able to talk without turning to somebody and having them talk for you. And you have to, you have to be a traveler, not a tourist. you have to want that. And anybody that goes over sees and thinks I'm just going to bring America with me or whatever, and I'm just going to,
bring Austria with you,
or Austria, whatever. You're not going to be accepted that way.
We had mountains there as well, so it was not that.
I know. Say quick shout out. Hi Grandma. Hi Shannon. I know you're on the feed. I got to give the shout out. Sascha says hi. Everybody says hi.
I do want to say this. One thing I thought that was really great, Sascha, that you were saying in regards to the language thing, because about coaching, and also that personally, I think, and I don't know how you feel about this, that a manager of a team, a first team manager, can get away with not speaking the language a lot easier than a goalkeeper coach can, because that relationship between the goalkeeper and the goalkeeper coach, if there's a language barrier, you're never really going to be able to earn the trust of that player because they don't really understand where you're coming from. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think our first job is not, of course, to be very good in that what you do in goalkeeping and to know everything about goalkeeping. But I think what's the most important is to deal with that relationship with the goalkeepers. So you have to really get into their minds. You really have to get into them. You can tell him everything, but if you don't get into them, you don't understand why he is acting like he is acting. Then you just have okay, you have a year, but you would not develop. You as a coach don't develop, and
Right.
the player as well not, because you have to do this trust, and they have to know why you do things, but you also have to understand on the other hand why they are doing things, and that makes it so much easier, and you can grow so much steps if you can really come into that with the goalkeepers. It's not easy because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work outside of the pitch, I think. Also on the pitch, of course, but it's more outside of the pitch. But you have to go these extra steps for the goalkeeper to really develop them.
I think what coaches out there have to understand, it's such an intimate coaching position. Like, you know, your head coach and stuff like that, you're dealing with 20 something players. You know, as a goalkeeper coach, you're dealing with like what, 3 or 4, and you're with each other a lot. You know, more so than you're with the rest of the team, and then integrating them into team play. But it's such a personal position, and yes, you have to go that extra yard. If you're going to go coach overseas or something, figure it out. Like, don't expect everybody to speak English or French or whatever. Like, figure it out. It's on you to assimilate, in my opinion.
Yeah, Sascha, I want to see. It's like, do you have any clips of some a little bit of more progressive of the sessions in Kazakhstan, so we kind of see like kind of what the level was of the players there, and how you were able to communicate with them, because I think that might be really interesting for some of the fans to check out.
So I have to say I had a big luck with the goalkeepers down there. They were really open-minded. They had a great mindset. They were really open for trying new stuffs, and also the level that they had was very nice. We had all different ages. So we had a goalkeeper group starting with a very young goalkeeper who was born 2000, who had a really high level. So it really deserved also to play this season in the first league at the first time and be called up for the national team for the first. And we had an older one who was more in the end of his career, and we had one in between. So we covered really all the age groups, and it was really interesting because the goalkeeper who was in between was my age. So the older one was older than me, and then we had also the younger one. So, but it worked out really, really good. And the thing that I want to show you now in the process is also a bit of game, but also playing with this go or no go situations. So this inhibition. So the aim here is every goalkeeper has a goal. So that's that white one, the blue one, and the red one, and in the middle there is the cross coming in. And the goalkeepers has to see, okay, can I reach the ball? If I cannot reach the ball, then I have to defend my goal, because if somebody else catches the ball, he can shoot on every goal. So this go or no go, or this deciding, do I go back in my goal or go out for the zonal defense? Because we had always the quote, goal defense for zonal defense. If it's too risky to go on the zonal defense ball, then I try to defend my goal. So that is how we try to play in a warm-up a game.
Watching this. Oh, I love it.
I love it.
I just want to run into those guys. Into the big dummies.
Yeah, so like you saw, it was not perfect at that moment, because normally they have to start a bit higher and then step back, like it's a go no go in the cross. But the idea from that was to, okay, I decide, I go, but then I have to have the ball, because if I just go and I don't catch the ball, then my goal is open in the back.
Right, of course.
So,
but then you get those people that it'd be interesting to see it translated in, like, who is confident enough to go and who's worried enough and just wants to protect their goal.
Yeah.
It's interesting, like mental game right there, you know, because
yeah.
if I go and I don't get it, then I leave my goal open. So what's more important? But, you know, it's interesting there.
Yeah.
Saskia, you brought up a really good point right there. And actually that blew my head right there was that
I try.
these activities, Sascha, gives you an idea of what is the point of view of your goalkeeper, so you know the profile of that goalkeeper versus another.
What's your
goalkeeper.
mental state? Absolutely.
Not that one's right or wrong. It's just that what is this goalkeeper's risk? Where are they more? Where's their
reward?
Their risk versus reward. So what are they more interested in, defending the area or coming for the ball?
I'll give an analogy really quick. We were doing a camp, and we were doing like juggling challenges. And this one kid, it was viral. This one girl got like a ton, like 100 and something juggles, right? So she could pick any of our players to challenge, and she picked the goalkeeper, right? And I stepped back.
This was just a little kid. This is a little kid who won a contest.
Well, yeah, but I was like, she picked the goalkeeper. So I stepped back and I looked at one of our other coaches. I said, that's interesting. What's your mentality there? Because if it was me, I'd pick our best player. Like I'd say, I'm going up against you because I'm going to beat you. But her mentality was, I'm going to pick the goalkeeper because I know I can beat her. Like, which she didn't, but I know I can beat her. And so my thought process as like evaluating as a coach is just like, what's that say about your mentality? Like your mentality is, I'm going to pick what I know I can beat, or are you going to challenge yourself and pick not? So in this, my mindset in that is like, are you going to stay on your line every time and not go for the cross and then just try to make the save? Or are you going to challenge yourself and come in and then try to score? And so it'd be an interesting like mental challenge for the goalkeepers. Yes, that's how I look at things. So
I think it's interesting again to go back. What I said is that we are setting the borders in that case. Mm-hmm. So that was open. Everybody can score on the second ball. But if you say I have just goalkeepers who are standing on the line, then you say, okay, you just can score if you catch a cross. So you can adapt. So you can adapt this exercise. If you seeing the mentality of the players, I don't go because I can catch the second one and maybe then I don't get the goal and I don't lose. But you can change the rules and then say, okay, if you don't get to the cross, you cannot win. So,
right.
Sascha, I have a question
for you. Tomorrow.
I know. I think honestly, the reason, Sascha, we just want you to screen share so that we can just take.
I might have to blow up the dummies tomorrow and do it.
I do want to ask you one thing that I was thinking about is that, you know, when you come to a new country, when you come to a different goalkeeping culture, and it's like you were saying, it was very different. The way your methodology was very different than how a lot of them had been trained in the past or whatever. You know, how do you start implementing your own methodology without being insulting to the goalkeepers and the previous staff that they had been working with?
For the staff, it was really easy because they were from Germany, so they were used to our methodology. Okay. And but we had half staff from Europe and half staff from Kazakhstan. So regarding the staff, it was at the beginning a bit interesting how we fit together, but it was like just I tried to make a good example and to be really like a role model, and if I want to see something, then I acted like that. So not just expect something from the people. And what also I think brought me in is what I talked before is I was always asking questions. Why are you doing that here? Why are you doing that this year? And I want to take part of that. I want to come with you to the mountains and see what are you doing. So I also tried to understand the culture, and I think that helped me a lot with the staff. So with the staff from there, and with the goalkeepers, like I said, it was maybe a bit of a luck or a nice thing that the goalkeepers were really open to change something. So they had before just isolated training, so isolated sessions, jumping over hurdles, and that's for 2 hours. And they asked me in the first day, hey, I'm watching the England football and it's looking so different. Can we do that as well? and that played me into the cards, and that was very easy to adapt. So that was maybe my luck that it was so easy to step in.
Yeah, that's good.
But I think you can, if you just make small steps and you ask a lot of questions, then we are back in that what I talked before. If you come into their thinking, then it's easy to make sessions that they believe you in your way, in your methodology. So I think you have to ask a lot of questions.
It blows me away, and I don't know how both of you guys feel about this. Is like, it blows me away how many places, for lack of a better term, in the world haven't evolved in regards to their goalkeeper training. Like you were just talking about, they would do 2 hours of isolation, of just jumping over hurdles, and that's what they had done before. But because the world is getting so small now, and because of social media, and they're seeing these sessions, these goalkeepers were starving for something different. So like you were saying, it was actually making your job easier because they wanted something new. They wanted it different, and everything like that. And I think that's one of the really cool things about these experiences of like, look, I don't want to become very Eurocentric and say that the best goalkeeping is in Europe or whatever, but I will say that there is something to be said about where places are having successful goalkeeping, programs. The more coaches from those areas that can go to different areas around the world, the more it's going to improve the level of goalkeeping, because they can take a little bit from what they're learning in that country too, implement it into what's been successful for them. And now you're at Groningen, back in Europe, and maybe something you picked up in Kazakhstan, you're using over there that you never would have even used if you hadn't made that, taken that experience.
For sure, what I picked up in Kazakhstan is how to interact with people, so that you just cannot go through a wall. You have to adapt yourself to the people. You have to adapt yourself to the goalkeepers. To what I spoke with, come in their mind, be nice, be kind, ask questions, and you cannot go with your head through a wall. So that was the biggest learning, I think, in Kazakhstan. And what the biggest learning was, what I took to Groningen maybe, is trust the process. Just trust and believe in that you are prepared, that you make the extra step, you make the analysis, and just trust the process. There will be every time people saying, "Hey, that's not good what you're doing. That's not that what you should do maybe." But trust your process, because if you done the work, so why shouldn't you trust yourself in that case?
Yeah. I think it's a fundamental, for the field player coaches out there, they have to change the narrative. They have to get off their high horse and drop it and realize that, the goalkeepers just don't go play catch in the corner, and that's not enough. And as much, you see little things that kind of let you know that when a coach is setting up a training and they don't add in the goalkeepers in the notes, it's not 10, it's 11 players, and oh yeah, well, the goalkeepers, whatever goal they want to go into, and they pick no, they're just as important. What do you want to get out of the training that you want to get out from the field players? What do you want to get out of your starting goalkeeper? What do you want to get out of your backup? Do you want the starting goalkeeper to see more shots, or do you want them to work on building out of the back with the starting team? Like, what's going on? It's not just whatever. They are just as it's such an integral part of the team. And so I think that narrative has to change in field player coaches' minds. And we see it from the United States to Europe to everywhere. They're not playing catch in the corner, and you can't blame them when everything goes wrong if you don't use them in practice.
Yeah. Well, what we are talking about all the time, and that's now the thing, we try to make a game realistic. And what is the most game realistic? It's the game. The second step is training with the team. And then we're trying to create something game realistic. Mm-hmm. But that's where I think in the future we have to really come together a bit more and maybe design also with the coaches some sessions and come in that. So
So, well, Sascha, I know it's like midnight for you right now, so we're gonna start wrapping up. I mean, honestly, really, I love it because I was like, Sascha, I was like, well, it's 11 o'clock in Holland. Is that okay with you? You're like, yeah, that's fine. I'll be up.
I'm like, you've learned some stuff today. You've learned that Holland's below sea level.
Yeah.
You
No
learned
mountains. It's flat.
Yeah.
You learned that. You don't know if you learned that speed skating came from Holland because they skate on the canals when they're frozen over.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I can I can teach you a lot of things.
Yes.
About Holland.
Yeah.
So
Oh
Sascha.
man. I need to start learning how the pronunciation
it's a great country.
Really nice
I want to go there.
be
I want to go there, man. There's so many places I want to go. But you know, the last thing I want to say with you, Sascha, is that, you know, the really important thing that you were stating right there was about the game realism, and to kind of just add back on to the reaction time that we started the session off talking about today here, is it realistic to do reaction training in the game, or should that be done separate before you enter into the game? Because I think sometimes goalkeeper coaches either try to do too much, or they try to categorize everything so much that they can't put it together once they get into the game.
I think you have to see it a bit different. You have to know what you want to train. So if I want, like I showed before, I want to train the basics. I want just to see them colors. I just want to have a perception. Then let's keep it simple. Let's make the really basics. Let's make it really simple. But if I'm progressing in the week, if I'm progressing through the game, then set it in a more game realistic setup. I really like the idea with because we are dealing a lot now with that, is playing between the legs. This shot between the legs. We have a lot of situations in training, in game at the moment with this. The defender is making the step in the wrong moment, and then the ball goes through.
Right.
So I really like that exercise that you mentioned before.
And what's important about that is that, because when you're telling, like, we'll get even deeper into it in the sense of when you're telling your defender, okay, you know, your defender technically is sealing off part of your goal. So the keeper is maybe off that defender's hip, cheating a little bit to the other side. And so if the defender's stepping at the wrong time and it goes through the defender's legs to that where they're supposed to be sealing it off, you're out to lunch. You're like, oh, I was kind of like covering more to the left because, you know, the defender had the near post or whatever. And so it happens over and over and over again. And we see, like, even in like the EPL highlights from this weekend and stuff, like, you know, oh, well, you know, keeper couldn't have gotten that. It went through the defender's legs, but you have to train that. And so, you know, the more that you can incorporate, it doesn't have to be with the full team, but the more you can incorporate situations like that into training that are game realistic, it's going to make a difference when you get on field and you do 11v11 or whatever. And so it's, you know, I think that those are the things what we mean by game realistic training. You can still do it as goalkeepers in your corner, but you have to make those things. That's realistic. That's what happens in a game.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up right there with the wonderful, fantastic Saskia Webber, the rant on why we need to do an episode on through the legs. We need to do an episode on and Saskia, you're gonna have to run that one. You're gonna have to get the whole PowerPoint presentation together. You're gonna have to show the UCLA videos.
You know, I'm not technical. I can't do a PowerPoint. I don't even know how to do a PowerPoint.
By the way, we just scraped the surface of Sasha's videos. He got on beforehand. Oh my gosh, he has so many.
I gotta get my tennis racket out of the garage. I have my tennis balls. I'm all set. I got tons of stuff now.
By the way, Groningen has done a great job with some of those videos with you, Sascha, with the goalkeepers.
Yeah, it's truly, yeah. They are really pushing us. It's very great. Really great.
I love it.
Yeah, if you go to their YouTube channel, they've got a bunch of videos with Sascha working with all the goalkeepers there.
I love it.
Well, Sascha, if anybody out there wants to connect with you and reach out to you, where's the best place on social media?
Everywhere. I'm everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. But I think Instagram would be the best. So every time, welcome. Please send me the messages. Now here in Europe, it's more and more lockdown, so we have a lot of time to connect with people, and we hopefully grow a bit together.
In multiple languages. Yes.
I mean, I absolutely love it, Sasha. I mean, like, you know, I'm still a little bit neurotic, and I'm still a little bit like, well, I don't know, is this guy too big time? Is he even going to be interested? And I reach out, and then all of a sudden you text back, you're like, hey, yeah, absolutely, let's do this. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess he's cool with it.
No, thank you very much. It was really, I was some episodes, and I was like, really, hey, yeah, nice, great. It was fun.
Well, we try to keep it fun. And remember, guys, it's contact@insidethe18media.com if you have a guest suggestion or a topic suggestion, or at Goalkeeper Podcast on all social media platforms, at Saskia_Webber if you want to follow her on all social media platforms. And definitely do, because in the next few days, you're going to find out where Angel City will be playing their home games in 2022, right?
2022. That's right. The big announcement Thursday. Can't wait. So excited.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Well, guys, that's all the time on Inside the 18, and we are out. Later, guys.